Joe Biden actually just attacked you in a tweet. I don't know if you have seen it.
He just what?
Attacked you. He just said...
Well, he didn't write anything. Look, he has people, he has professionals from the Democrats
Mr. President,
writing.
let me just read what he said. He said Donald Trump is not responsible for the coronavirus, but he is responsible for failing to prepare our nation to respond to it. How do you respond to that, sir?
He didn't write that. That was done by a Democrat operative. He doesn't write. He's probably not even watching right now. And if he is, he doesn't understand what he's watching. But just so you understand, it was very nice what they wrote out. I don't know, they released it at a strange time, sort of a strange time to release something like that. But he admitted I was right. And if you read the Federalist story, which most of you won't, because you don't want to, but you'd learn something, because if you go, it goes through a chart, times. I was early. Dr. Fauci, I don't think he's changed his mind, but he said it was a very important step when we stopped China from coming in from the specific area that was heavily infected. We'd have a whole different thing right now. So I don't really know what Joe Biden said. I don't really care. And again, I see every once in a while I'll say something, I'll make a speech, and then it'll be critiqued, and I'll get this beautiful, brilliant critique. Joe Biden didn't write that.
Pretending those attacks aren't effective helps nobody. The best kinds of political attacks are true, right? But from the right, they don't need the full truth. They just need a kernel, and that kernel has to ring true instinctively with the American people. I don't know if Biden didn't or did write the attacks on Trump, but I do know that when we're talking about his mental acuity, last night, Biden goes on TV and acts like this.
We cannot let this, we've never allowed any crisis from the Civil War straight through to the pandemic of 17, all the way around 16. We have never let our democracy take second fiddle. We can both have a democracy and elections and at the same time correct the public health.
Yeah, so that's hard to watch. I feel terribly for him, but that's why Trump's attacks ring true. Right? Because that's plain. That's obvious for everyone. And gaslighting the American people and pretending it doesn't exist, I'm not in that business. But the media apparently is, even though months ago they were talking about how Joe Biden has declined in some ways. It's quite obvious. Cory Booker was talking about it. Julian Castro famously talked about it in the debate. And now they've all gotten behind Joe Biden pretty much and are pretending it doesn't exist. But Trump isn't going to pretend it doesn't exist. The media might now, because look, they are biased in favor of establishment politicians and they hate Trump. There is a kernel of that truth. They hate Bernie Sanders more because Trump gives them great ratings, but they are going to make editorial decisions that favor Joe Biden, like not talking about his clear mental decline. And why it's so effective, too, is this hits at the heart of what Biden is trying to portray. He's trying to portray himself as the competent one, as the return to normalcy, as the person who's going to lead us out of this dark moment. But no one has confidence in that when you're unable to speak. And so, Trump and Biden spoke on the phone, and that was supposed to be this really big presidential moment for Joe Biden, who's been botching like 70% of his media appearances when he's appearing at all. And this is what happened directly after that call. Mr. Trump's campaign quickly emailed that sleepy Joe Biden has completely lost touch with the American people, accusing him of pushing to raise taxes. Mr. Biden, meanwhile, wrote on Twitter that Mr. Trump's response to the coronavirus had been slow. Week after week, he downplayed the threat it posed, misled the American people, and failed to act, he said. Wow. You got him there. It's a complete failure to distinguish oneself. All of his critiques about Trump and his coronavirus response are process related. Oh, I would have done this better, or he didn't do this quickly enough, right? It's all about speed, and it's all about the details, the minutiae of how things were done. No one cares about that, especially when they're just trying to focus on whether they can get enough food, have enough money to feed their family, to exist, to pay rent. No one's paying attention to process. You need to be distinguishing yourself and how you'd be different leadership-wise. Otherwise, you're just hinging your campaign on being competent, being more competent, appearing more competent. And when you're unable to form coherent thoughts, that's a pretty huge hole in that argument. Politically, it's a disaster. And that's why those attacks by Trump are so effective when it comes to Joe Biden.